Hi everybody! On 16th of January 2024, Iran launched airstrikes deep inside the Pakistani territory. And just 2 days later, even Pakistan carried out missile attack in Iran.
Iran struck Pakistan. It bombed targets on 2 sites in Pakistan.
This morning, Pakistan is retaliating.
Pakistan has launched strikes inside Iran.
This is huge because this is Pakistan's first external land attack on Iran since the 1980s. This is a disaster for Pakistan because it is already struggling with its economy. Pakistan is facing a direct conflict with Taliban at the Afghanistan border. Their political system is broken and they're also battling an internal fight with militants.
Since last year, Pakistan has faced a dire economic crisis that has left millions struggling to make ends meet.
A country racked by instability. Its parliament is being dissolved. Its most popular politician is in jail.
Pakistan is facing an increase in attacks by the Pakistan Taliban. At least 100 attacks in the country have been blamed on them.
Similarly, for Iran, it's already at war with the West because of the Red Sea conflict. Now, although they have de-escalated their conflict, all the root causes of their conflict still remain the same, which means there is again a possibility of an Iran-Pakistan conflict, especially because Pakistan's election is very, very close. And you will be shocked to know that in 1965 and 1971 India-Pakistan war, Iran was actually Pakistan's best friend who supplied both weapons and money against India.
The Shah supported Pakistan in 2 wars. The 1965 one and then again in 1971.
But today, while Iran is a close friend of India, it is an arch enemy of Pakistan. This is because of India's genius non-alignment strategy. So this case study overall teaches us some very important lessons in geopolitics that every nation must learn from. And more importantly, it also teaches us how the United States creates a conflict and escapes the crime like a wizard. So the question is, why did Iran and Pakistan launch missiles on each other? How did they go from being best friends to becoming arch enemies? And most importantly, what are the geopolitical lessons that this conflict has to teach to India and the world? This video is brought to you by thinkschool's Communication Masterclass course. People, did you know that by simply learning to communicate your ideas better, you can improve your job prospects by 60%? In fact, at thinkschool also we've observed that a person with great communication skills is far more efficient in leading a team than a person who's just good with technical skills. And this is applicable for all departments, whether you're from sales, marketing or technical background. Recruiters often give more weightage to public speaking skills and communication skills, especially when they're hiring for a leadership role. Public speaking and communication skills help you exhibit your creativity, your critical thinking skills and your leadership abilities, which gives you an extraordinary edge over your competitors. So if you fear public speaking or if you struggle with presenting your ideas clearly, then come join our Communication Masterclass course. Communication Masterclass is a 6-week structured guide with exercises that are specifically designed to help you learn how to effectively communicate with your audience, how to get over your fear of public speaking and speak in a structured format, and most importantly, we also teach you how to deliver brilliant presentations to your team using the art of storytelling. And if you have any doubts during the course, I will personally be conducting special live Q&A sessions to help you with your problems and challenges. So in just 6 weeks, if you put in the efforts, you can become an effective communicator and you can amplify your impact as a leader. More than 27,000 people have already benefited from this course. So if you want to master the art of effective communication, then click the link in the description, join the masterclass, and I will see you in the live session. To understand this Iran-Pakistan conflict, we first need to understand the history of Iran-Pakistan relationship, because they're neither friends nor enemies. So you can just say that it's just complicated. So let's dive into 1947 to the formation of Pakistan.
Muhammad Ali Jinnah had made the dream of Pakistan into a reality.
And all the time the bloodshed goes on as the new dominions of Pakistan and India take over their own affairs.
I'm looking forward to making Pakistan as one of the greatest nations of the world.
You see, when Pakistan was formed, it was formed as this new Muslim country which was garnering support from all Muslim countries across the world. During this time, if you remember, Iran was one of the only few countries where oil was actually discovered, and this is before the discovery of oil in Dubai and other Middle Eastern regions. So back then, Iran and Pakistan were like best friends. Iran was one of the first countries to recognize Pakistan. The Shah of Iran was the first head of state to visit Pakistan, and it just looked perfect. This friendship did not stop here. They even supported America together during the Cold War between United States and Soviet Union. So just like China and Iran are supporting Russia together against the West, Iran and Pakistan were supporting America against the Soviet Union. So the relationship between Iran and Pakistan got stronger because they were backed by the same superpower. So whenever Pakistan had a conflict with India, Iran always supported them with plenty of weapons and money. In fact, Iran was against India in both the 1965 war and the 1971 war. But the question over here is, if they were best friends, how did they go from being best friends to now being at war with each other? Well, as it turns out, in 1979, there was an Islamic revolution in Iran. And in this revolution, an Islamic republic was established under a guy named Ayatollah Khomeini.
University students demonstrating in Tehran shouting death to the Shah pledge allegiance to the Islamic movement of the Ayatollahs.
Iran's Islamic revolution overthrew a powerful regime that boasted military might.
And suddenly, Ayatollah Khomeini decided to kick out all Americans and Europeans from Iran because he believed that the Americans and Europeans were using the Shah of Iran as a puppet to extract oil out of Iran at dirt cheap cost, and they sold Iranian oil to the world at a hefty profit. So Ayatollah said, when this is our land, when this is our oil, then why are Americans selling Iranian oil to the world? So suddenly the Iranians decided to sell their own oil to the world without depending on Europeans or Americans. So this seems like a fair point, right? Well, guess what? Obviously, Americans and Europeans did not like it. So now Iran became an enemy of America and Europe. And this is where the relationship between Pakistan and Iran started to crumble. Because now, while Iran was anti-America, Pakistan was pro-America. So do you realize Iran and Pakistan did not have any real problem? It's just that because America had a problem with Iran, even Pakistan became cold to Iran. And during the same time, something crazy was happening in Afghanistan. If you remember, in the 1980s, the Soviet Union and the United States started fighting their Cold War in Afghanistan. So again, Afghanistan had no real problem at all. It's just that because the Soviets entered Afghanistan, even the United States entered Afghanistan to fight the Soviets. So they both started fighting this war in Afghanistan, and eventually the Afghan people suffered with violence and bloodshed. Now, if you look at this map, Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan are very close to each other. So when the Soviets and Americans start fighting the war in Afghanistan, the war became a critical point for Iran and Pakistan. While Iran was backing the Soviet Union, Pakistan and the United States were incubating a militant group which we all know today as Taliban. Which means, again, Iran and Pakistan had no real problems. It's just that there were two superpowers who were fighting a war which had nothing to do with them, but even then, Iran and Pakistan became enemies because their bosses were fighting. And this conflict escalated to another level in 1998 when one day Taliban attacked the Iranian diplomats in Afghanistan. So not so surprisingly, Iran and Pakistan became arch enemies.
When Taliban forces capturing the Afghan city of Mazar-Sharif killed 8 Iranian diplomats and a journalist.
Taliban insurgents have attacked a government judicial complex. 4 gunmen in military uniforms stormed the compound in the heart of Mazar-e-Sharif.
But the way the Taliban have acted and murdered Iranian diplomats brutally, so it requires the public opinion is ready that Iran to take some kind of action.
The Taliban and Iran are on the brink of war.
And ever since this incident, the relationship between these countries has been very rocky. While some prime ministers try to mend the relationship, the others try to ruin it. But long story short, Iran and Pakistan are just neighbors who are absolutely annoyed at each other. This is the context of the Iran-Pakistan relationship. If this is very clear to you, let's come to their conflict in 2024. You know, at the heart of this conflict is this region called the Balochistan region. For those who don't know, this is the map of Pakistan. And as you can see, they have 4 provinces, which are Sindh, Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and this region called Balochistan. You see, Pakistan and Iran share roughly a 900-kilometer border. This line is known as the Goldsmith Line, which runs from Afghanistan to the Arabian Sea. And this region of Balochistan is a treasure trove of natural resources and has everything from gas to minerals to even strategic coastline along the Arabian Sea. In fact, Balochistan stands out as the richest Pakistani province in terms of natural resources, gas and minerals. And you will be shocked to know that it accounts for 40% of Pakistan's entire gas production. Cherry on the cake, this long coastline of Balochistan is also home to two precious deep water ports, which are Gwadar Port of Pakistan and Chabhar Port in Iran. So now the question over here is, if this region is rich in natural resources, what exactly is the problem? And why is the Balochistan region the heart of the Iran-Pakistan conflict? Well, as it turns out, the Baloch people in Pakistan feel very marginalized. This is because they have faced suspicion and discrimination from both Pakistani and Iranian governments.
In the impoverished region of Balochistan, where more than 7,000 people have disappeared, people are tired and angry. They want answers.
Pakistan has been given the second last place on the UN's gender gap report for the last 2 years.
Baloch people are fighting against the Pakistani army, against the People's Liberation Army of China.
So the people of Baloch argue that if Pakistan is so interested in the natural resources of Balochistan, then why isn't Pakistan developing Balochistan? Because if you look at how much resources Balochistan brings to the table and you compare that to the state of the Baloch people in Pakistan, it's quite astounding. And the same is the case with Iran also. It is estimated that there is $1 trillion worth of resources in Balochistan. But if you look at poverty rates, it is the highest in Pakistan at 65%. Similarly, in Iran also, 80% of the Sistan Baloch people still live below the poverty line, whereas the national average is just 28%. This is the reason why the people of Baloch started revolting against Pakistan and Iran in both peaceful and violent ways.
Balochistan continues to simmer as protests escalate in Pakistan's largest province.
In Pakistan, hundreds of Baloch protesters marched towards Islamabad against the alleged Baloch genocide and enforced disappearances.
Videos on social media show thousands of ethnic Baloch. Throughout their long march, they spoke out against the Pakistan government.
Hundreds of protesters took to the streets, blocking a key road link.
This is where a group called Balochistan Liberation Army started battling the Pakistani government. But the catch was that they used to attack Pakistan and then they took shelter in Iran. Similarly, the Iranian militant groups would attack Iran and then take shelter in Pakistan. And these militant groups collaborated with each other for resources and shelter. And the funny part is, while these militant groups were collaborating with each other, Pakistan and Iran have been accusing each other for not doing enough to control these militant groups. As a result, their relationship got even more deteriorated. So while Pakistan feels like Iran is funding terror in Pakistan, Iran feels like Pakistan is funding terror in Iran. So do you realize, again, there is no real tangible problem. These are just accusations, and that too because of militant groups that the governments might not even be funding. It's just that both these governments by default have a reputation for funding terror. As a result, this suspicion is resulting into a conflict. So this is how the land of Balochistan went from being a land with precious natural resources to a land which is now the root cause of conflict, cross-border accusations and a geopolitical conflict. So if this is very clear to you, let's understand why did Iran suddenly fire missiles at Pakistan. As it turns out, on 15th of December 2023, a group called Jaish al-Adl attacked a police station in Iran. This left 11 Iranian police officers dead and several injured. This is what triggered Iran to attack Pakistan. So on 16th of January 2024, Iran launched missile strikes into Pakistan's Balochistan region.
Tensions in the Middle East have been further inflamed by a series of attacks launched by Iran.
Tensions are rising tonight between Pakistan and Iran after an Iranian airstrike on Pakistani territory that killed 2 children.
And as usual, to respond to this attack, in less than 2 days, even Pakistan launched their own missiles into Iran and deployed fighter jets into Iran's Sistan Balochistan province. And when the world asked Iran why did they attack Pakistan, they said that their missiles only attacked terrorist camps in Pakistan and not the civilians in Pakistan. Similarly, after the Pakistani attack, even Pakistan said that they are targeting only terrorists and not the civilians in Iran.
Pakistan, which has confirmed it's carried out missile strikes inside Iran, targeting militants of Pakistani origin.
9 were killed after Pakistan launched airstrikes against alleged militants in Iran.
Pakistan claims it took out a number of militants, but Iran says mostly women and children were killed.
This seems like such a lame excuse, isn't it? But somehow, guys, this is how two major countries, one with a nuclear weapon and one with insane oil money, almost started a war with each other. And the biggest problem is that even though this war has been de-escalated, the root causes of their conflict still remain the same, which are militants, the Balochistan condition, cross-border security, and anti and pro-American alignment. This is a sad story of how two best friends became enemies in spite of no real problem. But you know what, guys? This conflict actually teaches us some very important lessons in geopolitics and how the West creates troubles between two nations. And here, every nation for that matter needs to learn 3 important lessons. Lesson number 1. America's problem is not your problem. So every country needs to look at its individual relationship with another country rather than that country's equation with America. Because America might come and go based on their convenience, but it is these two countries that have to deal with a conflict for half a century, which results into a tremendous cost in terms of both human life and money. In this case, while India has cleverly remained neutral in the Russia-Ukraine war scenario, Pakistan for no reason spoiled its relationship with Iran because they kicked out Americans in 1979. Secondly, funding a militant group is like raising a snake on your backyard and hoping that it never bites you. In this case, both Iran and Pakistan funded militant groups, and these groups have gone out of control to cause immense harm to both their reputation and relationships all across the world. And lastly, as once a great man said, war is a funny game. The only way to win it is to not play it at all. But unfortunately for Pakistan, war has always been a priority over economics. And for the United States, war has always been an instrument of economic growth. These are the dark but brutal lessons from the Iran-Pakistan conflict. And I just hope you learned something valuable. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.